Right now, look at the nearest fragile object in your room. A ceramic mug filled with hot coffee, a thin glass vase, a window pane. Now, imagine you push it. Gravity, that invisible, desperate hand, grabs it. It accelerates. It hits the floor. The sound is a sharp, chaotic violence. Shards fly outward in a mathematical spray of destruction. Liquid splatters, soaking into the rug, spreading like a dark stain of failure. The object is broken. It is gone. This is the law of your life. This is the tyranny of the arrow of time. We live in a universe of breaking things. We live in a reality where order dissolves into chaos, where heat dissipates into the cold, where the living rot into the dead. You have never, not once in your entire existence, seen an omelette unscramble itself and leap back into the shell. You have never seen smoke swirl together, solidify into wood, and unburn a forest fire. But what if you did? Close your eyes, take a breath. We are going to stop the clock of the universe. We are going to seize the hands of time and force them backward. We are not just rewinding a videotape, we are reversing the fundamental flow of reality itself. The physics of the cosmos are about to invert. Open your eyes. Look at the floor. The dark stain on the rug begins to tremble. It is rising. The liquid pulls itself out of the fabric, defying gravity, forming floating spheres of brown and black. The shards of ceramic skitter across the floor, hunting for their neighbours. They are magnetic, desperate to be whole again. They collide with a snap. Not a sound of breaking, but a sound of healing. A sharp click of sudden structure. The mug reassembles itself in midair. The liquid rushes inside. The mug flies upward, smooth and perfect, and lands softly in your hand. It feels miraculous. It feels like magic. But to a physicist, this is the most terrifying thing imaginable. Because if you look at the raw equations of the universe, the math that dictates how atoms bounce and how planets orbit, there is absolutely nothing in the rules that says this cannot happen. The laws of physics are time-symmetric. They do not care which way the movie plays, and yet you are trapped in a forward motion that drags you toward the grave. Tonight, we are breaking out of that trap. We are going to rewind reality from your living room to the edge of the Big Bang. But be warned, this is not a journey of restoration. It is a journey into a prison of absolute determinism. When time runs backward, you do not gain a second chance. You lose your free will. You become a passenger in your own body, retreating blindly into a past you have already forgotten. Let's step outside. The world looks the same, but the rhythm is wrong. The wind is sucking air into the high-pressure zones. The leaves that fell last autumn are lifting from the mud, turning from brown to green, reattaching themselves to the branches with a wet, organic snap. But look closer. Look at the people. Walking. Backward is the least of it. It is the biology that becomes a horror show. If we reverse the arrow of time, your body is no longer a machine that consumes energy to survive. It is a machine that produces energy to be destroyed. Imagine dinner. You are not hungry. You are full, bloated with the energy of the day. You sit at the table, you pick up a fork, you do not eat. You open your mouth, and a pristine, chewed mass of food rises from your stomach, travels up your esophagus, and reassembles itself into a solid piece of steak or a perfect sphere of peas in your mouth. You spit it onto the fork, you place it on the plate. You do this until the plate is full and you're left hollow, empty, starving. The thermodynamics of life have inverted. Instead of burning calories, you're unburning them. You're creating order out of your own biological waste. It sounds grotesque because it violates the second law of thermodynamics. This is the law that says entropy always increases. Entropy is just a fancy word for messiness, for disorder. In our world, there are infinitely more ways for a room to be messy than for it to be clean. There are infinitely more ways for an egg to be broken than for it to be whole. The arrow of time is just a statistical accident, a probability game that we are losing every single second. But in this reversed world, entropy is decreasing. Chaos is organizing itself into structure. The smoke from the factory chimneys across the city is being sucked back down into the furnaces. The carbon dioxide in the air is being pulled apart, the carbon pressed back into coal, the oxygen released for us to unbreathe, and we are unbreathing. Watch your chest. In a normal world, you take in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. Now you inhale the waste gas of the world, your lungs work in reverse chemistry to forge oxygen, and you exhale pure, life-giving air. We become the plants become the consumers. This cycle is perfect, and it is perfectly horrifying. Because as we rewind, we're not just uneating and unbreathing, we are unliving. Think of a memory, a scar on your knee from when you fell off a bike. In this backward world, that scar will slowly turn pink. It will open up. The blood will rush back into the wound. The gravel will lift from the skin and return to the road. The pain will arrive in a sudden sharp spike, and then you will be on the bike, riding backward, safe, the memory of the pain erased before it even happened. This is the true horror of the anomaly. In a universe running backward, cause comes after effect. You feel the pain before the injury. You feel the heartbreak before the breakup. You feel the warmth of the kiss before the lips meet. You are living the consequences before you commit the actions, and you cannot stop it. You are a puppet. If time is rewound, every neuron firing in your brain is firing in reverse. You're not thinking backwards, you're unthinking, you're forgetting. As we move further back, you are stripping away your experiences. The books you read are unread, the knowledge flowing out of your mind and back onto the page. The skills you learned, driving, typing, cooking, atrophy and vanish. You're becoming younger, yes, but you're also becoming emptier. We're walking backward toward the most terrifying moment of any human life, the moment of unbirth. But we need to go bigger. We need to leave the domestic horror of the kitchen and the body and look at the sky. Because if time is running backward here, it is running backward everywhere. And out there in the vacuum, the stakes are not just about uneating a meal. They're about the violent disassembly of the solar system. Let's ascend. We float backward, up through the clouds. The rain is rising, millions of diamond needles flying up from the Earth to vanish into the grey heavy underbelly of the cumulonimbus. Look at the moon. It is moving faster. In our forward timeline, the moon is slowly drifting away from Earth, stealing our rotational energy an inch or so every year. A long, slow goodbye. But now it is returning. It is spiralling inward. It is getting larger, brighter, looming over the oceans like a watchful, jealous eye. The tides are becoming violent, pulled by the approaching gravity. And the Earth itself? It is healing, but it is a violent healing. We are rewinding through the Anthropocene. The lights of the cities are winking out one by one. The concrete highways are cracking, not from age, but from deconstruction, turning back into liquid slurry, then back into rock. The forests are marching forward, reclaiming the land. We see the ice sheets of Antarctica and Greenland rushing outward, covering the oceans in a white frozen armour. The sea levels drop. The planet is cooling. We are retreating from the fever of global warming back into the stable, cold embrace of the past. But watch the craters. Look at the scarred face of the Arizona desert or the pock-marked surface of the moon. In a reverse universe, a crater is a launch pad. Dust begins to swirl in the centre of a massive depression. Rocks fly inward, fusing together with impossible heat. The ground screams as it knits itself shut. And then, with a force that would shatter eardrums, a massive asteroid is ejected from the surface of the Earth. It flies backward, up through the atmosphere, sucking a trail of fire behind it. It punches a hole in the sky and vanishes into the black, heading back to the cold, dark belt between Mars and Jupiter. This is the cosmic billiards game played in reverse. We are vomiting stone and metal back into the void. Now turn your eyes to the sun. It is indistinguishable from the sun we know almost. It is a blinding ball of plasma. But the physics of the core have shifted. In our time, the sun is a fusion engine. It crushes hydrogen into helium, releasing light and heat. It is a slow-burning bomb. But in reverse time, the sun is an undoing machine. Light rays from deep space, photons that have travelled for millions of years, are rushing into the solar system. They strike the sun and are absorbed. The sun is drinking the light of the universe. Inside the core, helium atoms are being pulled apart, split back into hydrogen. The star is gaining fuel. It is getting younger. It is getting smaller, denser, more volatile. But here is where the standard model of our fear begins to break down. We assume that rewinding time is just playing the movie backward. We assume it's a simple geometric reversal. But there is a catch. an anomaly that keeps quantum physicists awake at night. It's called the weak interaction. Most forces in the universe, gravity, electromagnetism, the strong nuclear force, are symmetric. They look the same forward and backward. But the weak nuclear force, the force responsible for radioactive decay, is not. In the 1960s, scientists discovered that certain particles like kaons behave differently if you run the clock backward. They violate CP symmetry. This means that if you actually rewound the universe, it wouldn't just be the same events in reverse order. The fundamental recipe would change, tiny errors would creep in, the reversal wouldn't be perfect. As we rewind the tape, the glitches in the code of reality would start to compound. Imagine you are unwriting a book, you're erasing the ink, but because of this asymmetry, sometimes the ink doesn't lift, sometimes it smears. As we rewind history, the past we are arriving at might not be the past we came from. We are drifting into a shadow timeline, a universe that looks like ours, but is subtly, terrifyingly wrong. We are hundreds of years in the past now. The cities are gone. The night sky is darker, cleaner. But wait, look at the stars. Do they look shifted? In a reverse universe, gravity is still gravity. It still pulls, but the momentum is reversed. We are watching the great expansion of the universe undo itself. Since the dawn of time, the cosmos has been expanding, flinging galaxies apart, stretching the void between us. We are lonely drifters in an expanding ocean. But now, the ocean is shrinking. The galaxies are not rushing away. They are rushing toward us. The light from distant quasars, usually stretched red by the Doppler effect as they flee, is now shifting blue. The blue shift. It is the color of incoming radiation. It is the color of an approaching train. The universe is contracting. We are not heading toward a cold, lonely heat death anymore. We are heading toward a claustrophobic crush. The vast emptiness of space is becoming a crowded room, and we are right in the middle of the crush. But before we face the crushing end, or rather the crushing beginning, we must confront the biological horror of our own species' history. We are rewinding through the ages of man. We see the Industrial Revolution disassembled, the smoke sucked back into the coal. We see the wars unfought, picture a battlefield. The mud is churning, soldiers lie dead, their bodies broken. In reverse, the blood crawls back into their veins. The shrapnel rips out of their flesh and flies back into the bomb casing. The bomb seals itself and flies up into the belly of the plane. The soldier gasps, a breath of life, not death. He stands up. He is whole. It looks like a miracle. It looks like mercy. But remember the lack of free will. That soldier is now trapped in a march backward to his barracks, backward to his training, backward to his childhood. He has no choice but to unlive his life. He is a prisoner of a script written in blood. And as we go back further, the population shrinks. We are 7 billion, then 6, then 1. We uncolonize the Americas. We undiscover the wheel. We retreat into the caves. The lights go out. The language dissolves into grunts, then silence. The complexity of human consciousness is being stripped away layer by layer, like peeling an onion, until all that is left is the raw animal core. We are approaching the bottleneck, the moment where humanity almost went extinct 70,000 years ago. In our timeline, we barely survived. In the reverse timeline, we are rushing back into that choke point, and beyond that, the beasts, the monsters of the Pleistocene, the mammoths rising from the permafrost, shaking the ice from their fur, the spears of ancient hunters flying out of their sides. We are falling through time, faster and faster. The continents are sliding across the mantle, crashing into each other, not to break apart, but to fuse. North America slams into Europe. South America locks into Africa. The Atlantic Ocean vanishes, squeezed out of existence, water forced into the subduction zones. We are reforming Pangaea, one supercontinent, one massive dry arid desert in the center, one storm system that circles the globe. The world is alien. The moon is huge in the sky, much closer now, spinning rapidly. The days are shorter, the earth is spinning, faster. We are losing the familiar. We are losing the earth that was our cradle. We are heading into the deep time, the chaotic, violent youth of the solar system. But there is a sound you need to hear. Listen, it is a hum. a vibration in the fabric of space-time itself. As the universe contracts, the background radiation, the heat left over from the Big Bang, is getting hotter. In our time, the cosmic microwave background is a cold 2.7 Kelvin. It is a whisper of the creation. But as we rewind, that whisper becomes a scream. The temperature of space is rising, the vacuum is beginning to glow. We are not just rewinding history, we are cooking it. We have reached a point of no return. We have gone back 4 billion years. The Earth is gone. It has melted back into a protoplanetary disk, a ring of magma and dust swirling around the infant sun. There is no life here. There is no biology to be horrified by. There is only physics, and the physics are warning us. The equations are flashing red, because we are approaching the anomaly of the beginning, the singular point where time, space, and causality are mashed into a single, infinite dot. But before we get there, we have to survive the late heavy bombardment in reverse. Or should we call it the early heavy ejection? Imagine a sky filled with rocks, not asteroids but planet killers. In the forward version of history, these rocks smashed into the young Earth, delivering water, delivering the ingredients for life, but also sterilizing the surface with fire. In reverse, the magma ocean of the proto-Earth erupts. It vomits entire oceans of water into space. It spits out the carbon blocks of life. We are stripping the planet of its potential. We are sterilizing it by removing the seeds. This is the great tragedy of the reverse timeline. We are not heading toward a beginning. We are heading toward a cancellation. The sun is changing again. It is no longer yellow, it is orange, red, it is swelling. No, wait, it is shrinking. It is a T-Tauri star, a violent tantrum's child. It is blasting out jets of radiation that would strip the atmosphere off any planet foolish enough to exist. We are drifting into the pre-solar nebula. The sun dissolves into a cloud of gas. The planets unclump into dust. There is no solid ground. There is only the swirling, dark, cold cloud. And we are still falling. The universe is shrinking around us. The galaxies are so close now that they overlap. The sky is a blinding sheet of white light. There is no night anymore. Every direction you look, there is a star, a galaxy, a quasar rushing at you. The heat is unbearable. We are approaching the wall, the Planck wall. In our forward timeline, we ask, what happened before the Big Bang? And science says, there is no before. Time started there. But if we are moving backward, hitting the Big Bang isn't the beginning. It is the end. It is the ultimate crunch. It is the moment where all geometry, all logic, all distinct separation between you and me and the atom ceases to exist. We're about to be crushed into a singularity. But here is the cliffhanger. Here is the thing that the textbooks don't tell you about time reversal. As we approach this single point of infinite density, gravity becomes so strong that it breaks the concept of backward. Time doesn't just flow in reverse anymore. It begins to loop. It begins to fracture. The arrow of time spins wildly like a compass near a magnet. We might not hit the Big Bang. We might bounce. What if the universe breathes? What if, by rewinding, we are not going to a death, but to the other side of the hourglass? Right now, you and I are standing on the precipice of the singularity. The temperature is infinite. The density is infinite. The noise is silence, because sound cannot travel when space itself is being crushed. We are about to step through the needle's eye, and what is on the other side is not the past, it is something entirely different. We are alive. Somehow, we are alive. We have passed through the needle's eye. The crushing density of the singularity did not delete us. It inverted us. We have emerged on the other side of the Big Bang, or perhaps we have simply bounced off the wall of time and are now careening forward into a new, terrifying geometry. Take a moment. Check your limbs. Check your mind. You're no longer unliving. You're no longer a puppet marching backward toward your birth. You have agency again. But look around you. This is not the universe you left behind. In our old world, the one we call home, the darkness of space was a comfort. It was a vast, empty room where stars were lonely islands of light. But here, the sky is not dark. It is glowing. It is a dull, throbbing violet. The air tastes metallic, charged with static. We have entered the phase of contraction. To understand why this is terrifying, we have to look away from the sky and look at something much smaller, something harmless. Picture a swimming pool. Imagine a pristine, glassy pool of water on a summer day. Now, imagine a cannonball splashes into the centre. What happens? Waves ripple outward. They start big, chaotic and loud, and then they spread. They get smaller. They dissipate. Eventually, the friction of the water turns that energy into a tiny amount of heat, and the pool becomes still again. The energy has spread out. It has equilibrated. This is the natural order of things. Energy wants to spread out. It wants to be free. But in this contracting universe, the pool behaves differently. Watch the water. The edges of the pool begin to tremble. Tiny ripples appear at the walls, seemingly out of nowhere. They are moving inward. They are gathering speed. They rush toward the center, growing larger, taller, more violent. They are stealing the heat from the water to build themselves up. And then, smack! They collide in the center, perfectly synchronized, spitting a massive column of water into the air, which catches the cannonball and throws it back into the sky. This is the physics of a contracting cosmos. In our old world, we lived by the rule of the dissipation. Things fall apart. Coffee cools down, stars burn out. Here, things fall together. Here, the coffee heats up. Here, the stars are being fed. This sounds efficient. It sounds like a world without waste. But you are forgetting what happens when you compress energy into a confined space. You are forgetting the horror of the blue shift. In the universe we know, the cosmos is expanding. Galaxies are running away from us. As they run, the light they emit gets stretched out, like a siren on a passing ambulance dropping in pitch. The light becomes red. It becomes low energy. It becomes harmless radio waves. The expansion of the universe is a cooling mechanism. It is the only reason the night sky is dark. It is the only reason we aren't cooked alive by the radiation of 1 trillion stars. But now, look up at that violet sky. The universe is shrinking. The galaxies are rushing toward us. The Andromeda Galaxy is not billions of years away. It is screaming toward our Milky Way like a runaway freight train. And the light? It is being squashed. It is being compressed. The wavelengths are getting shorter, tighter, more energetic. Visible light is shifting into ultraviolet. Ultraviolet is shifting into X-rays. X-rays are shifting into gamma rays. The darkness between the stars is filling up with hard radiation. The vacuum of space is becoming a microwave oven, and someone has just turned the dial to high. This is the crisis of the contracting model. We are not just running out of space. We are running out of the ability to cool down. Thermodynamics is the study of heat and energy, and its first law says you cannot create or destroy energy. But its second law, the famous one, says that entropy, or disorder, always increases. In a closed room, the mess gets worse. But what happens when the room itself starts getting smaller? Imagine you're in a room with a heater. The walls are slowly moving in. The ceiling is lowering. The heat has nowhere to go. It bounces off the walls, compounding, doubling back on itself. The temperature rises. First, it is uncomfortable. Then, it is sweating weather. Then, the wallpaper peels. Then, the water in your body begins to boil. This is the big crunch. It is not a sudden end. It is a slow, agonizing suffocation by heat. And the worst part, we can see it coming. In an expanding universe, parts of the cosmos disappear over the horizon. We can't see them anymore. They are lost to the void. We are isolated, yes, but we are also shielded from the knowledge of the rest of the universe. In a contracting universe, the horizon is coming to us. We can see everything. We can see the distant galaxies arriving. We can see the history of the cosmos piling up on our doorstep. There is nowhere to hide. The sky is crowded with the light of every star that has ever shone, and they are all glaring at us at once. But let's go deeper. Let's look at the mechanics of the monster that lives in this crushing dark. Gravity. In our normal lives, gravity is a weakling. You can defeat the gravity of the entire Earth just by lifting your coffee mug. A simple fridge magnet can defeat gravity to hold up a shopping list. But gravity has a secret weapon. It is relentless. It never sleeps. It never cancels out. It only adds up. In a shrinking universe, gravity finally wins the war it has been fighting for 13.8 billion years. Matter is getting closer together, and when matter gets close, it clumps. When it clumps, it gets heavy. When it gets heavy, it collapses. We're entering the era of black holes. In our expanding universe, black holes are rare monsters, sleeping in the centers of galaxies or floating like mines in the deep dark. They are dangerous, but avoidable. Here, in the crunch, they are the dominant species. As the galaxies merge, their central, supermassive black holes collide. Imagine two drains in a bathtub merging into one. The gravitational waves from these collisions would be enough to liquefy a planet light years away. Space-time is rippling like a disturbed pond. We are navigating a minefield, and the mines are eating the map. But there is a stranger horror here, a psychological one. It involves the arrow of time and the concept of memory. If we are truly in a universe that is contracting, some physicists like Thomas Gold in the 1960s proposed a terrifying hypothesis. If the universe contracts, does the arrow of time flip? We talked about rewinding before, but this is different. This isn't rewinding a tape. This is living in a world where the future determines the past. Think about that. The future determines the past. In our world, you drop a glass and it breaks. The cause, dropping, leads to the effect, breaking. This creates a record in your brain. You remember the breaking because it happened in the past, but if the arrow of time flips in a contracting phase, then entropy decreases in the future. The future is the low entropy state. The past is the high entropy state. This implies that your brain would work backward. You would remember the future, and the past would be a foggy, unknowable void. You would know exactly how you're going to die, but you wouldn't know your own name or where you were born. You would plan for yesterday, not tomorrow. Living in a reversing entropy universe would feel like walking backward through a thick fog, seeing your footsteps appear in front of you, guiding you to a destination you cannot choose. You're a passenger in a vehicle driven by the final destination, the big crunch. The end is pulling you toward it. You're not pushing into the future, you're being reeled in. Let's bring it back to the physical reality of the crunch. We are closer to the end now. The scale of the universe has shrunk to the size of a single galaxy. The Milky Way is gone, merged with Andromeda, Triangulum and 1,000 dwarfs into a single blindingly bright chaotic ball of stars. The night sky is now as bright as the surface of the sun. The oceans of Earth have boiled away eons ago. The atmosphere has been stripped. The planet is a cinder, a piece of charcoal floating in a blast furnace. But we, the observers, the disembodied camera, we can see the particles. The atoms are getting nervous. In the deep void, particles pop in and out of existence. Virtual particles. They borrow energy from the vacuum and pay it back. But as the universe crushes down, the vacuum is no longer empty. It is filled with energy. The pressure is forcing electrons into protons. We are seeing neutronization on a cosmic scale. Regular matter, the stuff of chairs, trees and skin, cannot exist here. The atomic structure is being crushed. It is like a trash compactor, but instead of crushing trash, it is crushing the periodic table. Iron is crushed into a dense soup. Gold, silver, oxygen, it's all being ground down into a uniform grey neutron paste. The distinct beauty of the universe, the chemistry that allows for life, is being erased. We are returning to the monochrome, and then the black holes begin to merge. Not just two, all of them. This is the ultimate endgame of the contracting universe. As the space shrinks, the black holes have nowhere to go. They find each other, they eat each other, they grow larger and larger, covering more of the sky. Eventually, there is only one black hole. The universe is the black hole. We are inside the event horizon. But because the universe is closed, there is no outside. The horizon is everywhere. The singularity is not a point in space anymore, it is a point in time. It is the Friday next week. It is the inevitable moment in the future that we are all rushing toward. We are sliding down the throat of God. But wait, there is a discrepancy. There is an anomaly in the data of the crunch. Look closely at the walls of the crushing universe. Standard physics says this should be smooth. It should be a uniform collapse, but it isn't. It's lumpy. There are pockets, bubbles. In 2004, a controversial theory regarding the Big Rip and Big Crunch suggested that the universe might not end uniformly. The fabric of space-time might tear before it crushes, or, more terrifyingly, it might nucleate. Imagine a pot of boiling water. bubbles of steam form at the bottom. These are new phases. As our universe is crushed under infinite pressure, the laws of physics are breaking. The constants, the speed of a light, the strength of gravity, the charge of the electron are shifting. They are not constant. They are environmental variables, and the environment is changing. In one corner of the shrinking cosmos, gravity might suddenly turn off. Matter flies apart in a violent explosion, only to be crushed seconds later by the collapsing wall. In another corner, time might stop entirely, freezing a pocket of screaming plasma in an eternal, motionless photograph. We are seeing shards of alternative physics being born and destroyed in microseconds. This is the cosmic horror of the false vacuum. We assume our universe is stable, that it is the ground floor of reality. But what if we are standing on a trapdoor? The pressure of the Big Crunch is pushing down on the trapdoor. If the vacuum collapses, a bubble of true vacuum will form. Inside this bubble, physics is totally different. Matter cannot exist. Chemistry is impossible, and this bubble expands at the speed of light. In a contracting universe, these bubbles are forming everywhere. We are not just being crushed, we are being eaten by bubbles of nothingness that are rewriting the laws of nature as they consume us. And yet, we are still here. We are the observers. We are watching the final seconds. The universe is now the size of a solar system. The heat is Planck temperature, the absolute limit of heat. Physics can no longer describe what is happening. General relativity, the geometry of space, and quantum mechanics, the behavior of particles, are screaming at each other, giving contradictory answers. Relativity says, it is a smooth curve down to a point. Quantum mechanics says, it is a foaming, chaotic mess of probability. They are both right. They are both wrong. We are at the boundary of knowledge. We are facing the cosmic censor. Penrose proposed the cosmic censorship hypothesis, which states that naked singularities, points of infinite destruction, are always hidden behind event horizons. Nature protects us from seeing the code break. Nature hides the error messages, but in the Big Crunch, the censor is dead. The curtains are pulled back. We are staring directly at the naked singularity. The noise is gone. The heat is gone. There is only geometry. Twisted, broken, screaming geometry. And in this final moment, as the distance between all points becomes zero, we realize the ultimate twist of the contracting universe. If all matter is in the same place, if all time is in the same moment, then there is no difference between you and me. There is no difference between the star and the planet. There is no distinction. The horror is not death. The horror is total unity. We are being forced into a collective consciousness of subatomic matter. We are merging. The loneliness of the human condition is replaced by the suffocating intimacy of the singularity. You are about to become everything, and everything is screaming. But just before the 0 point, just before the final crunch, something pushes back, a force we didn't account for, a fudge factor in Einstein's equations. The cosmological constant? No, something older. The universe isn't a crushing ball, it's a lung, and it has finished exhaling. The walls stop moving. The crushing weight hovers for a microsecond, an eternity in this density. The bounce is not a rubber ball, hitting a floor. It is a quantum tunneling event. We are not bouncing back into the past. We are tunneling through the singularity. We are piercing the veil. And on the other side, it isn't a new Big Bang. It isn't a white void. It is silence. Absolute, heavy, terrifying silence. We have arrived at the end of time, but we are still conscious. We have survived the crunch, and now we are floating in the after. And this is where the real nightmare begins. Because in the after, there is nothing to die, and there is nothing to live. There is only the void. Welcome to the silence. There is no light here. There is no matter. There is only a hum, a low, resonant frequency that vibrates through a nothingness so absolute it hurts the mind to conceive of it. We have survived the crush. We have survived the bottleneck of the singularity. We were squeezed into a point smaller than an atom, stripped of our bodies, our history and our geometry. And then, the pressure released, we are now, expanding again, the universe has exhaled. But look closely at the darkness. In the standard model of the Big Bang, we're told that the universe began as a clean slate, pure energy, a tabula rasa. But this place, this new beginning, it feels used. It feels heavy. We are not in a new universe. We are in a recycled one. This is the theory of the Big Bounce. It proposes that the Big Bang was not the beginning of time, but merely a bridge between a dying universe that collapsed and a new universe that is expanding. We are living in the lungs of a cosmic beast that breathes in and breathes out, over and over again, for eternity. It sounds poetic. It sounds almost comforting, like reincarnation on a cosmic scale. But strip away the poetry and look at the mathematics. Look at the implications of a universe that never ends, but only repeats. It is the ultimate prison. Imagine a videotape. You record a movie, then you rewind it. You play it again. The image is crisp, the sound is clear. But now imagine you record over it, and then you record over that, and over that, 1 billion times. What happens to the quality? The magnetic tape begins to degrade, static creeps in, voices become garbled, colours bleed, the structure holds, but the fidelity is lost. We are currently living in the movie. But which copy are we? Are we the original crisp master tape? Or are we the billionth copy, a distorted, static-filled echo of a reality that existed eons ago? There are physicists, brilliant and terrified men and women, who look at the fine-tuning of our universe and shudder. They ask, why is gravity exactly this strong? Why is the speed of light exactly this fast? If these numbers were different by a fraction of a percent, stars wouldn't burn, atoms wouldn't hold together, and life couldn't exist. The religious say it is design. The optimists say it is luck. But the cyclic universe theory offers a darker answer. Evolution. Perhaps the universe is evolving. Perhaps the previous trillion universes failed. They collapsed too fast, or they expanded too quickly. They were stillborn, lifeless voids. We are living in the survivor. We are living in the version that finally got the math right. But the cost of that perfection is an infinite graveyard of dead universes beneath our feet. And this leads us to the most unsettling question of the night. If the universe repeats, do we repeat? Friedrich Nietzsche called it eternal recurrence. He sat by a rock in the Swiss Alps and wept at the thought. The idea that this life, your life, is not a straight line from birth to death, but a circle. If the universe bounces, and the laws of physics are the same, and the amount of matter is the same, then probability dictates that eventually the atoms will arrange themselves exactly as they are right now. It might take a Googleplex years, a number so large that writing it out would fill the universe with paper. But in infinity, anything that can happen will happen, and it will happen an infinite number of times. That means you have sat in that chair before, you have listened to this voice before, you have felt this specific moment of existential dread 1 trillion times in the past, and you will feel it 1 trillion times in the future. You are trapped in a loop of your own existence, unable to change a single mistake, unable to take a different path, doomed to make the same choices forever. This is the horror of the bounce. It strips you of the one thing that makes life bearable: consequence. If everything repeats, nothing matters. The pain you feel is not a lesson, it is a script. The love you feel is not a discovery, it is a rerun. But let's look for a way out. Let's look for a crack in the prison wall. Sir Roger Penrose, a Nobel laureate, proposed a theory called conformal cyclic cosmology. He suggests that information might, just might, leak through the bounce. He calls them Hawking points. Imagine a supermassive black hole in the previous universe. It eats a galaxy. It grows fat and monstrous. It dominates its era. Then, the universe expands until it is cold and dead. The black hole slowly evaporates over trillions of years, releasing Hawking radiation. When the universe collapses and bounces again, Penrose argues that the ghost of that black hole leaves a mark, a scar on the cosmic microwave background of the new universe. We have looked at the sky. We have mapped the radiation left over from the Big Bang, and we have found spots, circular anomalies of slightly higher temperatures that do not fit the standard theories. They might be random noise, or they might be the tombstones of dead gods. They might be the gravitational echoes of a civilization that lived, struggled, and died in the beyond before ours. We're walking through a haunted house. The static on your old TV set, the background hiss of the radio, some of that noise is the screaming of the universe that came before this one. We are not the first, we are likely not the last. We are simply the current occupants of a haunted room, but even the loop might not be eternal. And this is the final twist of the knife. Thermodynamics is patient. Even if the universe bounces, it loses a tiny bit of efficiency each time. Entropy accumulates. The tape gets too noisy to play. Eventually the bounce will fail. The spring will lose its tension. The universe will not have the energy to crunch back down, or the strength to push back out. We will enter the heat death of the cycle. This is the true void. The final void. Imagine the universe expanding, but this time it doesn't stop. It doesn't turn around. It just keeps going. The stars burn out. The white dwarfs cool into black dwarfs. The black holes evaporate. The protons themselves, the building blocks of matter, decay. All that is left is a soup of photons, light particles stretching out, cooling down, until their wavelength is the size of the universe itself. Time stops. You cannot have time if nothing changes. If the universe is a uniform, cold mist of nothingness, there is no before and no after. There is only is, an eternal frozen now where nothing happens, forever. This is the fate that awaits us, whether it is tomorrow or in a trillion cycles, the great silence. So where does that leave us? Here, now, with a mug of coffee. Look at it again. We started this journey by imagining it breaking. We watched it unbreak. We watched the universe rewind, collapse, and bounce. We have travelled to the edge of time and stared into the abyss of eternal recurrence. But the mug is still sitting there, whole, warm, real. The horror of the cosmos is its indifference. It does not care if we repeat. It does not care if we end. It is a machine of grinding gears and crushing gravity. But you are the anomaly. You are the only part of this machine that can feel the horror. You are the universe observing itself. You are the universe realizing it is trapped. And that realization gives you a power that the stars do not have. The stars must burn. The planets must orbit. The black holes must eat. They have no choice. They are slaves to the laws of physics. But you can choose to lift the mug. You can choose to drink the coffee. You can choose to turn off this audio and walk outside and look at the moon. Not as a terrifying weight, but as a beautiful light. We are small. We are temporary. We might be copies of copies, but we are here. The arrow of time is pushing us forward into the dark. We cannot stop it. We cannot rewind it. We cannot escape the cycle, but we can keep our eyes open while we fall. So, tonight, when you lie in bed and the silence of the room presses in against your ears, do not be afraid of the dark. The dark is just the canvas. Be afraid of the order. Be afraid of the cycle, but find comfort in the chaos. Because in the chaos there is freedom. The mug is whole for now. Enjoy it, because sooner or later, gravity always wins. Good night and good luck.